What is going on? It is Nate the Game Guy coming back with another video at hand, and today I want to talk about Nintendo 64 games that are always going to be worth replaying, revisiting, and playing all over again. These are the games that were so good, so enjoyable, that you just want to go back, replay them, go through them all over again, relive some of those memories, just because the replay value on these games is just so high. In this video, I'm not going to rank any of the games in any way, shape, or form. This is not going to be a worst to best or best to worst. These are just going to be games that I consider to be some of the best when it comes to great replay value and replayability on the Nintendo 64. So without further ado, let's jump right into this video's topic right after the intro. So starting off the list pretty strong are the original Mario Party games. That's right, the original Mario Party, Mario Party 2, and Mario Party 3. Nintendo truly brought in a great spin-off franchise when it comes to the Nintendo 64, and of course it would span on to multiple generations of Nintendo consoles. Of course, Nintendo was partly responsible for destroying many great friendships with these games, but of course they were also responsible for bringing home a lot of great memories, friends, families, sleepovers, the like, and Nintendo truly nailed it with this board game themed spin-off franchise. These games are totally worth going back and replaying, especially when you've got some friends over, family over, all that good stuff. These games truly have great replay value, and I have to say, when it comes to games that are worth coming back, hooking up the 64 and replaying again, the Mario Party games are easily games that I can think of. Another iconic game on the Nintendo 64 that is worth revisiting is Conker's Bad Fur Day. Rare truly made an iconic game with this one when it came to the Nintendo 64's library. At the time, Rare was known for making very child-friendly games, and they wanted to prove to the world that they can also make adult-oriented games as well. And they nailed it with that one when they made Conker's Bad Fur Day. With its interesting atmosphere, its great humor, and its overall concept, Rare truly made an iconic game for the Nintendo 64. I really enjoyed its humor. I liked its levels. I really liked pretty much everything about Conker's Bad Fur Day, really. And sometimes when I am thinking about enjoying a nice single-player game on the Nintendo 64 and want to enjoy a little bit of some humor, I will pop in Conker's Bad Fur Day from time to time and really have some fun kicking back and playing a game like Bad Fur Day. Another great platformer made by Rare for the Nintendo 64 was Banjo-Kazooie. Before Rare decided to make an adult-oriented game such as Conker's Bad Fur Day, they made Banjo-Kazooie for the 64. This game was a very iconic and memorable game with its art style, its level design, and just its overall atmosphere of the game. Of course, it played very similar to Super Mario 64, which obviously was not a bad thing considering that Super Mario 64 was also another iconic masterpiece for the Nintendo 64, but of course, Rare put in their little touch up here and there of what they wanted to do with a platformer, and they hit it right on the head when it came to making a great platformer. It also had a very iconic soundtrack to it too, which is still very memorable to this day, and I have to say, when it comes to platformers that I enjoy revisiting for the Nintendo 64, Banjo-Kazooie is definitely one of them. Now, one great racer that's worth revisiting on the Nintendo 64 is F-Zero X. This futuristic racer was a ton of fun to play on the Nintendo 64, with its challenging racetracks, its great character selection, and just how it overall expanded and put so much new in from the original F-Zero, which was introduced on the Super Nintendo. Of course, with F-Zero X, it is a game that's always enjoyable to play and revisit again, because it was just such a fun and iconic game with all the different characters, the racetracks, the soundtrack. It was just a great game to play, and when it comes to racers that I enjoy revisiting, F-Zero X is one of them that I think about when it comes to playing a good racer on the Nintendo 64. Now, another great racer that's worth talking about on the Nintendo 64 is Beetle Adventure Racing. Now, this hidden gem, in my opinion, is not talked about enough when it comes to great and fun racers on the Nintendo 64. Well, even though I'm not a fan of the Volkswagen Beetle, that still doesn't change the fact that this is a fun racing game to play, especially with its variety of racetracks of how you can race through snowy mountains, small villages, race past dinosaurs, race past a bunch of lava through volcanoes and all of that. It is just a fun game to play. And also you get to look through different shortcuts spread across the map, so that way you can try to beat your opponent quicker and much easier. It is just a total blast to play. And of course, with a game like Beetle Adventure Racing, it is just another game that proves that the Nintendo 64's library was really strong when it came to having great and fun racers for the console. Now, of course, I have to talk about this game when it comes to games that are worth revisiting on the Nintendo 64, and that is Star Fox 64. Star Fox 64 really did expand upon the original Star Fox on the Super Nintendo with its characters, level design, graphical input, and all kinds of wonderful things with this title. It truly was a blast going through the different planets, gunning down enemy ships, taking down Star Wolf, fighting Andross. This game was truly iconic and very memorable among many gamers and of course Nintendo fans. When I'm thinking about memorable games and games that are worth revisiting for the Nintendo 64, of course, one of the games that I always have to think of when it comes to great games worth revisiting on the 64 is easily Star Fox 64. And of course, I have to talk about Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64. This game was really iconic and very unique with its overall approach with this game. I really liked the art style about it, and I thought it was a very creative and fun RPG. Well, even though it's been quite a while since I've played this, and unfortunately I don't remember the story, but what I can tell you is that this game was a load of fun, and I've just thought every second of the game was really cool and fascinating and interesting, and I just really liked going across the different places, seeing how everything was laid out with its art style and just how everything was just kind of made out of paper. I thought Nintendo was really creative with this title, and of course, if it wasn't for this entry for the 64, we would have never got the Thousand Year Door, which is easily one of my favorite GameCube games to play. So I will say that the original Paper Mario is easily a game I would easily want to revisit one day when I pop in the Nintendo 64 and got it all hooked up. Now, one more racer that I gotta talk about on this list is Mario Kart 64. This game was another great game to play when you had a bunch of friends over, family over, all that wonderful stuff. Of course, with Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, that game was also fun, but Mario Kart 64 really expanded upon the Mario Kart games, and I really have to say this game was just a total blast to play. I really liked the racetracks. I really liked its graphics design for the 64. I liked the art style, character selection. It was just a great game to play. And it was just one of those games that if you were a 90s kid or just somebody where, you know, you just had some friends over, and or if you were going to have like a big party or sleepover and all that, this was a game that was easily a breakout title that was worth playing with your buddies. And of course, it is still a game, in my opinion, that's easily a game that's worth breaking out when you've got friends and family over, because it is just that fun of a game, and it just has such high replay value that it's just one of those games that you easily got to go back and play from time to time. And of course, I'm sure no one is surprised by the fact that I'm putting this game on the list, and that is Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time was really iconic and very interesting for its time back when it came out. I really liked exploring Hyrule, the different dungeons, picking up different weapons and items to help you explore the dungeons, seeing the different characters and the art style. Nintendo really did a great job with this one. It is still one of the most memorable Nintendo games of all time to this day, and I can easily see why, with all the things that were put into place when this game was made. When I'm thinking about Nintendo 64 games that are worth revisiting, this one is definitely up there, and of course, this is a game that I would easily put in my top 10 when it comes to some of the best Nintendo 64 games of all time, in my personal opinion. I just think it is that great of a game. And of course, this is a game that everybody saw coming from a mile away, and that is Super Mario 64. Nintendo did an incredible job with this title, with its level design, its variety and the different levels, the art style, the way how Mario was introduced into 3D and can move in 3D. This was just an incredible game. When I think about games that are worth revisiting for the 64, this is easily one of them, and this is a game I really enjoy coming back to from time to time just because of its incredible replay value and its overall design, level layout, and iconic places to go to. This game was a masterpiece of a game. This is a game I would easily put in my #1 spot when it comes to the best Nintendo 64 game of all time. It is just that great of a game, and I have to say, this is like the cream of the crop when it comes to Nintendo 64 games that are worth revisiting. Alright, and that is going to conclude my list for some of the best games on the Nintendo 64 when it comes to going back, replaying all over again, and that are absolutely worth revisiting. What do you guys think of the list? Are there any games that I forgot to mention? Keep in mind, if I didn't mention it on this list, there's probably a very good chance I just haven't played it yet. So if you happen to know of such games that you guys think are worth revisiting after all these years, feel free to comment down below. I would love to hear some of your guys' recommendations of great games to go back and revisit on the Nintendo 64. Give this video a like if you did enjoy. Helps boost it up into the YouTube algorithm so more viewers such as you can find videos just like this. And of course, please do consider subscribing because I post a ton of content when it comes to game collecting tips, other video game related subjects. So if that's something that you guys are into, please do consider subscribing. But if you're going to subscribe, don't forget to hit that bell notification button so that way you will be notified when I upload a video just like this. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.